Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring on our bottom right hand side from Clan Derry is Todes, our Masters level Zerg, and his opponent on the top left, wearing the purple trunks, is wArSF. I'm going to go with War, or maybe Wars. No, War. War is also a Masters level Terran, I'm assuming. I don't know anything about this guy, actually. I can't look him up on Battle.net because I can't find him. He doesn't show up on Drop StarCraft because that's not how I got these replays, and he is not part of Clan Derry, or at least this is not the name of him being on part of Clan Derry. So I don't know if he is in Masters or not. I definitely assume he plays like he's in Masters because this is a practice match for Todes. This is actually going to be part of game one of best of 5, and Todes is preparing for a clan war. Which is why he's playing against these guys, which is why they're chatting so much right now, is because they know each other. They know each other and they play against each other, which is super, super handy. Something I really recommend to anybody who wants to get serious about getting up there on the higher leagues, because it's so handy for you to be able to just pound into one person over and over and over again, so that you can practice a specific build or be practiced against an enemy build. So maybe you're always losing to Zergling or Baneling Roach all in, and you need a Zerg to continually do that. Well, you don't get that on the ladder. You have to randomly verse all 3 races. But you do get that by playing against a single player one at a time. And so this is great. I love doing this. I also love watching people do this, just because I also get to see what changes they do when they lose to something. Refinery going down pretty early, actually, going to be finishing up well before the barracks for War, and that means that he's probably going to be going for a Reaper opening. He's not so early. It wasn't like a refinery first or anything like that was going to make it so he could get a factory out first, but it was still early enough that he's going to have almost 50 gas right whenever that barracks finishes, and he can pretty much immediately start on that Reaper. Yeah, there he goes. Also, we have the 15 hatch, I believe it was a 15 pool, immediately after the hatch for Todes. It's pretty difficult to say now that we're almost on the 18 supply mark. Regardless, very, very standard, very economic build, not making motions like he wants to be super aggressive. We don't see any geysers tapped just yet. We probably will see one sooner or later, just because we're on Belshio Vistage, and this is a very large map. It's very difficult to take any map control or to deal with those Reapers, which will be coming out for more any second now. Actually, is going to be popping out of that barracks, immediately scouted by that drone. Actually, you could see that Todes microed it behind so that you could actually see to make sure that it was indeed a Reaper, and that's totally what it was. Wow, quickly getting its first drone kill. Good unit control there from Wars, not even to take damage from that. Also, Wars is staying on that constant refinery income. The gas has been coming and going nice and strong. Starting up on a command center, though, right now. Probably going to be throwing in a factory. There it goes. Awesome. I thought this was a factory initially because he had the 100 gas. He had the 150 minerals. He needs to throw that down, start up on that tech. The Reaper being kind of frisky, getting his second drone kill, I assume. Yeah, excellent. Fantastic. And we can see that the mineral saturation here for those drones really not the highest in the world for Todes. I mean, I would have expected there to be another round of drones coming in, but it was because he was blowing a lot of money on those 2 queens. Both queens are out now, throwing down that larva inject. That's going to skyrocket in just a couple of seconds. Second Reaper is out, though, so he's got to be much more careful. However, he's already been careful. He's thrown down that spine crawler. He has the 2 queens. He's pretty much on total lockdown right now, even defensively positioning the Zerglings up on the high ground. That is a great play there. Continuing with the 1 worker on the extractor. Oh no, pulling them all off the extractor, so he really wants to take a third. That's totally what he's going to be doing in a couple of seconds. He needs to get up those 300 minerals, but he first has to take care of those Reapers so that the drone doesn't die before he moves over there. Saturation's almost complete, probably going to be complete with his next round of drones, and metabolic boost is unfortunately just now getting started, which is right whenever he pulled those workers off of the geyser there. Reactor is going to be used by that factory before the command center morphs to the orbital and moves on to the low ground, but we already see the bunker down there. Going to start producing Marines, I'm assuming, from the barracks to actually saturate that bunker. Otherwise, he might be just considering throwing down an add-on once he's got enough money, and then a starport immediately thereafter, going on that traditional kind of 1-1-1 play. 2 kills on that Reaper just still, so haven't missed anything at the front door yet, but with the second queen moving down, probably Todes is thinking about pushing back those Reapers so that he can actually afford to take that third. Tapping other guys or getting his guys back onto gas, so wow, putting the lie to me. I was expecting him to take a third, but maybe he's thinking about getting a lair in a short amount of time. Maybe that's because of those Reapers and those Hellions. He doesn't really want to throw down a Roach Warren to force them back, but he is kind of stuck on just 2 bases. So what is Todes thinking? I don't know. He's not teching very high, but he's getting a lot of gas. We're going to have to see some sort of tech building fall very, very shortly. Maybe a Roach Warren, maybe a Baneling Nest. Maybe enough time has gone by that he is just going to be forced to go for one of those Roach Banes all-ins. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. On the other side of things, those roaches are being kind of frisky, and the natural has been secured by wArS. He's got a 3rd orbital command coming down. There goes the roach, the Zergling run by, and how much damage can those Zerglings do? A whole lot. We've got a single Widow Mine, 2nd Widow Mine on the low ground. They're not burrowed just yet, and with Zergling speed done, they're totally going to move up there. That was actually really, really clever, using the Queens to force the Reaper and the Hellion back, and then running by with those Zerglings on the right side, making it so that they were totally hidden. This totally took me by surprise. I can't imagine how surprised wArS is. Getting a kill on one of those Widow Mines while being able to retreat before the second one managed to discharge. Also keeping the Queens and the Spinecrawler defensively positioned at this choke, making it so that those Roaches and Hellions can't do any sort of counter-aggression. The Widow Mine did get tricked into discharging on a single one of those Zerglings. This is actually doing a whole lot more damage than you would expect. Finally, the Hellions and Reapers are back, and now accompanied with the SCVs, probably going to clean this up from those Zerglings. But wow, Todes keeping the majority of them alive. Oh no, turning around, taking a lot of damage from those Hellions, but managing to pick off both of the Hellions. Finally, the Reapers and the SCVs are going to eventually clean them up. But man, that was a lot more effective than I thought it was going to be, and also more importantly, no more pressure at the front door. So Todes can breathe a sigh of relief, can get out there and do anything he wants to, which is definitely going to be taking a 3rd base very shortly, but immediately throws down the Spire, immediately throws down a Baneling Nest. So going to be transitioning into that very mobile and aggressive Zergling Baneling Mutalisk posture, and this is going to be pretty cool. But in order to afford it, he needs to take a 3rd base, and he's just sitting around. He's got a lot of money, but not a lot of anything else. He needs that 3rd hatchery more than anything else. I feel like I'm harping on it, and in reality, he's got 2 bases fully saturated. He's got a lot of money saved up right now. He's going to be able to just create something like 10 Mutalisks in as soon as that Spire is made. But as a Zerg player, you really want to stay 1 base up, and yeah, here comes the drone. Going to be throwing down that hatchery now that he has the tech secured, but I feel like it was a little delayed. I feel like I would have thrown it down immediately after the Zergling rush did as much damage as it actually did. That being said, no, I'm not playing this game. Todes is playing this game. I have no idea. He plays this game totally different from me, and he does it better than me. So that being said, we're going to move on. wArS. He's got a nice infrastructure back at home, actually. He's got his combat shields out. Does he have stem? He does. 1-1 also done. So his Marines are going to be very well equipped to deal with the Mutalisk pressure that is forthcoming. 10 of them on the way, though. And if these Zerglings elect to become Banelings, then they can be incredibly cost-effective themselves on these Marines. But no, it looks like they're getting baited into a death trap of so many of these Marines. Still being very cost-effective, but with the Hellions arriving, eventually they are going to get cleaned up. Clutch shot from that one Widow Mine. Six kills. That's what I was looking for. When I clicked it for 1, I was like, 1? Really? No, it was not really. Mutalisk's going to be coming in. Hellions not very good against Mutalisks. Only 5 Marines too, so that would be actually a pretty good pickoff for Todes. Here comes the stem. Those Marines are going to be shelling down a lot of damage on this Mutalisk as they focus down that orbital command. Oh, it takes so much damage from those Marines. I don't believe any of them went down. And remember, 10 Mutalisks, it's really just 9. 9 Mutalisk is the sweet spot for the Mutalisk count, because that allows him to one-shot a Widow Mine. And that's why he got out that number. And with 9 Mutalisks, he can one-shot a Widow Mine before it burrows, or if they're accompanied by an Overseer, Mutalisks actually fly so fast and attack so quickly that they can kill a Widow Mine before it can fire on them, even if it is burrowed. So that's something very important to keep in mind. He does not want to lose too many of these Mutalisks. He's already lost 1, so he is down to 8, I believe. Yeah, so he's out of that sweet shot, and yeah, he's creating 2 more Mutalisks just so he can stay in that sweet spot. Oh, was in risks of losing another one to that missile turret, but no, keeping it alive. Really wants to get this orbital command down, but he just can't invest enough into the ground army to keep those Marines distracted enough to make it so that that orbital command could actually go down. So overall, a bust for Todes, even though he did quite a lot of damage with that, just to the basic economy into the army size of Wars, but he really wanted to get a cancel on that orbital command more than anything else. Economically speaking, I think Wars is in the lead. He's up on 3 bases, yeah. Todes does technically have a 4th base being made right now. It is halfway done, but it's so very exposed, and Wars has a more intimidating ground force that Wars, if he became aware of that 4th or wanted to press the issue at the 3rd, could probably get a cancel on that 4th, or at least kill all the drones at the 3rd. And that's what he's doing right now. He's becoming kind of frisky. He's pushing really, really deep into the creeps right now, not blowing a scan to actually take care of those creep tumors, which is kind of weird because he's very exposed right now. And like I said, banelings are a must in this. Do they have centrifugal hooks? They do. Wow, those banelings are going to be very, very quick, what with all of this creep there, and the Mutalisk count is on the rise. We have some aggression down. The 4th probably going to get canceled. Well, so many of those Marines there, but Todes is not, he's not moving forward at all. He's waiting for this another round of Zerglings, 32 of them right now. Oh, here we go. Oh my goodness, those banelings up on the high ground getting off some really nice hits, but the Widow Mines making it so that those Marines could retreat back into that minefield, eventually targeting off every single one of those banelings, and now it's only Zerglings and Mutas, which is not the most cost-effective units in the world against Marines and Widow Mines, but it doesn't matter how cost-effective you are, as long as you outnumber the enemy 4-1. Oh, wow, what a hit on all these Mutalisks. Still has 9 of them, though, so he's still within that sweet spot, that right number. And even though the 4th went down, we have another 4th being constructed up here on the top right-hand side at the same time. This time, since Wars doesn't have a standing force large enough to actually push back these Mutalisks, well, I guess, as I was saying, Todes gets pushed back by the standing force from Wars with just a handful of Marines. I feel like Todes could have taken that fight, but yeah, he was forced to retreat instead, and unfortunately for him, he retreats directly over 2 different Widow Mines, one with 3 kills, one with 5 kills. Oh my goodness, and he lost a significant chunk of his Mutalisks right now, which is really, that's costly, not only because he has to continually rebuild those Mutalisks, and that sucks, but it also sucks because it's biting into his research. It's biting into the other structures that he wants to build. He wants to get that Ultralisk Cavern out. He wants to save money for those Ultralisks so he can actually get out there and do more damage. That being said, Wars is being very cost effective. Actually, look at that. 66 over 54. So not as incredibly cost effective as one might expect, but he's got 3 bases up. He can afford to be kind of throwing away more units than you would expect. And then Todes is still stuck on just 3 bases. Creep spread is beginning to degenerate as Wars begins to press forward. What are up there? It's 2-2 right now. That's really, really good. 3 is just now starting for Todes. 3 has not started just yet for Wars, but still, these 2-2 bio army, when supported by this incredibly intimidating amount of medevacs, is just proving to be just a little bit too much for Todes right now. He's continually hitting him. He's continually forcing him back, but Wars his macro is just too strong. You can just see on the minimap this stream of units being forced in here, and so even though Todes is keeping him at bay, that's all he's doing. He's not taking the fight to Wars. He's not using his Mutalisks for harassment, frankly, because he doesn't have any more. However, the tech switch is complete. He's got 8 Ultralisks on the production tab right now. His 3rd is probably going to fall, and that means he's only going to have those Ultralisks out. 18 Zerglings, handful of Banelings, handful of Mutalisks. He needs a lot of Zerglings to support these Ultralisks. Ultralisks in and of themselves actually don't do very well against Marines and Marauders. They can stutter step away, making it so the Ultralisks can only take 1 hit every handful of seconds, and that's really not what you want. You want the Ultralisks to be supported by Zerglings so that the Zerglings can swoop around the bio force that's on creep and hold them in place while the Ultralisks just decimate the bio force. And without that, with just Banelings in this mix, these Ultralisks are really going to get stutter stepped to death. And I think that's what we're going to be seeing here. Yeah, these guys are just getting shredded by this enormous force from Wars. Remember, they are still just on 2-2, and +3 is moments away from finishing, but even with this timing right now, Todes, he's down 90 supply. He's going to have to tap out any second now. Oh, wow. Really nice Baneling hit. If he had a couple more of those, maybe I'd be telling a different story, but with only 2 or 3 Ultralisks remaining, it doesn't look like this is going to go his way at all. Wars continuing with his macro. His natural is still fully saturated. He's got a very nice economy to back this up, and only 2 of those Ultralisks remaining, one of which with 6 health, the other one with 500. Come on, share the load. Even taking an expansion here rather than in the top right-hand side, which would make more sense to me, but having such an aggressive posture allows him to rally his forces here while so he's defending that expansion, but also very, very close, making the Zerg player very nervous. So unfortunately for him, Todes did succeed in keeping his hatchery alive, but none of his drones. His drones actually got scared away and cut to pieces in this rally point right over here, and we can just see that Wars is in a commanding lead right now. His 3-3 is just now starting. 3-3 or +3 ground is done. I don't think he's got +3 armor yet, does he? I guess, yeah, +2 armor. +2 armor, not the worst thing in the world. Definitely good to have +3 weapons and not +3 armor. But Todes is going to need his units to be as cost effective as possible if he wants to stay in this game. And I think that Wars is just not letting him have the opportunity to breathe right now. He's just continually shelling down damage on that economy. This third is going to go down. The fourth has been taken, but is only mildly saturated right now, and the natural is beginning to get mined out. So if we switch over to the economic tab, we can see how very small that is compared to the commanding economy that Wars actually has. So yeah, Todes was right. He mentioned it earlier. My economy, my macro is not doing the best right now, and you can just see how much that's hurting him. His tech is nice. His decision making was good. He just didn't have the economy to follow through once he reached that tech. And here's that stutter step I'm talking about. Infestors can fungal this down so that the Ultralisks can just destroy those Marines. Zerglings can hold them in place from behind. That works too. But just in and of themselves, Ultralisks are very, very weak against this composition, which is surprising, I know, but it's totally true. Wars is going to be pushing into the natural, and any second now Todes is going to have to tap out. Can't imagine him staying in much longer, but remember, this is a practice match, so he really just wants to gain any bit of knowledge. Maybe he was taking a look-see around of what he could do differently, unit positioning-wise. What he could do differently next time, I guess one of the big censures was the unlucky loss of his Mutalisks to those Widow Mines right here. He had 9 of them. He was doing a great job keeping them alive. And while he was being super aggressive here, I would have loved to have seen him just kind of dart around to the right side and start poking in at this natural too, making it so that Wars has to choose between defending one or the other one, because it is a long walk from that third to the natural. It really is. Not as long as a flight, because Mutalisks are very, very fast. They can bounce from one base to the other one, and also you can do Zergling aggression at this third, and then Mutalisk aggression over here, and make your opponent very nervous, make him very cramped, make him the one on the back foot. On the other side of thing, Todes was being very defensive, and he was forced to be defensive because Wars took that early advantage with crushing those Mutalisks early on, and then just didn't let go because he's a jerk. He's not a jerk. He's a good Terran player is what it is. And I think that's a synonym for a jerk. Regardless, that's it for me. If you guys have a game you want me to catch, you can PM me here or on Reddit. I'm actually going to be doing, I think, all 5 of these. But probably not all today. I will spread that out just because, they're practice games. There was nothing on the line. And there's something to be gained from every single one, I'm sure. So yeah, that is it for me. If you have a game you want me to catch, you can PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary. Bye.